Good afternoon, everybody. Here is David He. I'm from Hong Kong, and I'm the director of Orient Telecom Hong Kong. And this is the section for the podcast. And we are in the beautiful city, Amsterdam. And we have a very good guest, Christian from PanzerGlass. So first of all, Christian, would you mind to share a little bit, like how do you feel, how do you find about this Reconnect event?
I feel very much warmly welcomed, first of all. I didn't make it yesterday, sorry for that, but the flight schedule in Amsterdam was disrupted due to heavy winds. So I'm happy to make it, made it today. And yeah, Amsterdam is a beautiful city. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. And Christian, would you mind to introduce a little bit of PanzerGlass? Because I know that actually PanzerGlass has been bringing a lot of contribution for the circular industry. Yeah, so just share with us a little bit more insight and how it works and etc.
So PanzerGlass was founded in 2013, when the market for screen protection was still very much film. They've been one of the ambassadors to transform the film protection into tempered glass, which is protecting much better. And with this name, PanzerGlass, written with two S, PanzerGlass achieved being the brand name of the whole category. So people popping in today in stores or looking online for a screen protector, they Google for PanzerGlass. This is, of course, heaven and hell at the same time, because if you have a category brand like that, you got copied. So many competitors of ours, they try to copy our brand. And piggybacking on the success. So yeah, now we are in the meantime 13 plus years in the market. I used to work with PanzerGlass more than 11 years as a sales director. Now, beginning of this year, I changed into business development so that I am only responsible for new business and mainly in the area of refurbish. We learned starting from 2017 by a nice coincidence, at the end of a fair day CES in Las Vegas, we met the three founders and one apprentice of Refurbed. And Refurbed is a big platform now in the meantime, marketplace out of Vienna. I think they are now active in 25 or even 26 European countries. At that time, and it was like already 7 in the afternoon or evening, I was sitting there with a bottle of Austrian wine. And you know, they have this Austrian logo on the cap. And they passed by and they saw the bottle and looked at me and I said, come on in, let's have a glass of wine together. And then we figured that they did not know much about accessory business. And I didn't know much about the refurbished business. So what we decided is me saying, you need to have this extra money out of the upsell, cross-sell of accessory. I learned that, I'm in this industry since 1990, that if you sell the phone alone, the margin is not enough, especially when there is Apple on the phone. Because Apple likes to take the money for themselves. There's not so much money in the value chain, in the supply chain, right? So then we agreed that we set up kind of a laboratory mode of collaboration. We started immediately. Now, fast forward 8 years, it's a multi-million euro business for both of us. So for Refurbed as well as for us. They are now cross-selling much more products than only PanzerGlass. It's chargers, it's cables, it's power banks, it's bags, it's backpacks, it's everything. It's multi-categories. It's not only the smartphone, it's the tablet, it's the wearable, it's the notebook, it's whatsoever. And that's what made this kind of sales channel for PanzerGlass so relevant. And in the meantime, we are working with quite a few of these refurbished brands. Backmarket, Rebuy, As Good As New, Flip Arrow, just to name a few.
That's great. It's good to know that. And I totally agree that PanzerGlass has been the market leading brand for the accessories provider, right? And over the years, would you like to share a little bit about how it can increase your work by working with the marketplace to selling the accessories?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Very good question. It's basically selling something beyond the iPhone. Is dependent very much on a good storytelling. The storytelling of selling a screen protection is pretty much like the storytelling of having an airbag in a car or not. So this is an airbag we can agree on. It's like a physical insurance. Everybody needs insurance. You know, you have an insurance, a health insurance. You have like a liability insurance. You have a life insurance. You know, it's about insurances, and this is a physical insurance because the screen protector protects the breakage of your screen by or avoids it by 99%. So that means if you turn that around, then you can say whenever a PanzerGlass breaks, your display would have been broken 100%. And then it's exactly the same storytelling like with the airbag. You know, you have an accident, the airbag releases, it protects your life, but afterwards you have to buy a new airbag. You have to go to the car shop and get a new airbag. Same here. You know, if you break your PanzerGlass, which is supposed to break, it's supposed to break because it protects by doing that your display. Then you just remove the PanzerGlass, and what will you buy when you had like a hard fall on stone floor and your display is still alive? Then you go and buy a PanzerGlass again. And above that, of course, if you always use a screen protector in the case, it's like having a car, to come to this example again, without scratches. Without seats which are dirty and stuff like that, because you know, if you treat your phone well, this will keep the value for longer. And we all are talking about grading and categories, A grade, B grade, C grade. And who wants to have the B and the C grade? Nobody really wants to have that. Everybody is hunting for the A grade. And how can you get an A grade? I know Japan, you know, they are very good in treating their phones. Everybody wants to have Japanese phones because most of them are A grade. But, you know, if you protect your phone because of 360 with a glass and a case, then, of course, you know, you don't have any scratches, you don't have any ditches, and that keeps the value of a phone.
And actually, this is how, this is the main role of how a PanzerGlass play for this how to say that? Extension of the device's life.
Exactly. We are out there to extend the lifetime of mobile devices. Obviously, not only for the smartphones, but also for the wearables. In particular, of course, the Apple Watch, which is number one, way above the Samsung wearables. Then, of course, the tablets. And then, of course, also the MacBooks. Yes, you know, the whole refurbished industry is very much circling around Apple. I would say the market share of Apple is like, it's my personal feeling, is beyond 70%, at least when it comes to the smartphones. When it comes to the wearables, it might be more. When it comes to the tablets, maybe same, I don't know. So it's basically this device, the Apple device, which anyway keeps the value for longer. If you compare it with Android devices and the depreciation of the value, you can see that an Apple device keeps the value for longer. It is a very good business. And maybe you allow me one or two more things. One thing is that using a screen protector, and especially using a PanzerGlass screen protector, which is like, you know, from quality-wise, you know, it's a little bit like a bakery. And baking bread, the better ingredients you use in terms of glass, film, adhesive, and the longer you bake it and the hotter you bake it, because it's called tempered glass compared with the bread, the better the product will be. We have a very good product with a very special silicone layer, and this silicone layer, if you put it on the phone, makes the small to medium scratches invisible. What does that mean? If you have a B-graded phone with a slightly scratched display and you put our screen protector, it becomes A-grade, display-wise. Because the small to medium scratches, they are filled with our silicone layer and become invisible. This is, of course, very important.
That's magic.
I also come to the different business models, what we see today in the refurbished B2C business. We have like comparable to eBay and to Amazon. We have the eBay marketplaces, refurb, back market, and so on. And we have the Amazons, which own their business. They have their own facilities, they have their own warehouse, they have their own workshop. like Swappy, like Rebuy, like As Good As New, just to name a few here from Europe.
Yeah.
And the difference is a marketplace cannot pre-install a screen protector because they don't have the facility. So if a customer orders in cross-selling an extra screen protector, he will receive 2 parcels.
Yeah.
One from the refurbisher, which is a partner to the marketplace, and another one from somewhere to get the screen protector. And then there is another problem. I will come to that in a minute. But the other ones, like the Amazon, and clearly Amazon won against eBay. We know that already, right? Let's see how it works in the refurbish industry. But the Amazon, and if you go to Swappy, for example, then you can see how important this business with the screen protector is. Because everybody knows that popping up windows in the basket phase, in the checkout phase, is very risky. Because it disrupts, it can make the customer break up the whole process, and then you lose the sales. But they do very dominant, prominent, this cross-selling, say, hey, you get a screen protector pre-installed because we have the facility. So they can pre-install. And this brings me to this problem here, because the installation is a major problem. What we learned is that those places who install for the customer the glass, they sell much more. They sell like 50 to 80% more screen protectors. That's why PanzerGlass brought up, I don't have an example with me, but you can easily check it on the website, www.panzerglass.com. It's called Fast Fit in a Box. So it comes in a box, you open the box, you put in your phone, you close the box, then the alignment is done because it's aligned. Then you pull the film out first time, then all the dirt and all the dust walks away. And you pull the second time, and then you pull all the bubbles out. And then you open the box, and magic has happened. The screen protector is installed without any bubbles. So, and that's the solution when, for the marketplaces in the future, when the customer is not kind of in a position where he gets a pre-installed glass, but he has to install it himself to take this, how can I say that, entrance barrier or this fear of the installation fear, let's call it installation fear, away. That's basically, everybody has that, even myself. And most likely I installed thousands of glasses during fairs and during in the meantime, 13 years with PanzerGlass.
Now I got it. So actually, thank you so much, Christian. I get to learn about PanzerGlass a lot now, and I know why it becomes very successful. Because what I learned from you is that PanzerGlass has been investing quite a lot for the exclusive techniques, like the magic you mentioned with can erase the scratch from B grade to A grade. So that is a excellent technique as a distributor, because we have a lot of
exactly what that's about.
Of
so
course, that's why it's magic.
And
secondly, you even make it more user friendly for the end users. So I think that is a brilliant moves and investments, and you will get a lot of return in the near future, of course. And by the way, what I feel like is that accessories has been becoming more and more essential for all the phones, right?
Yes.
So what are you seeing the demands and the future growth for this accessory industry?
What we do see is a almost 2-digit growth of accessory all over the years, year on year. And as far as our market research data gives us the information, the screen protection is number one selling accessory. And most likely after that the cables are coming, because you just forget them so often.
Could you tell us that why PanzerGlass can winning the market among of that?
Honestly, we cannot. So our main competitor is not the other brands. No, the other brand competitors. We all know the names, and they are more like friends. Because we are building the same story. We are ambassadors for branded accessory with the storytelling. That supply chain is sustainable. We are, EcoVadis certified partners. We are very much behind sustainability. We are against child labor or bad working conditions in China. We take care about the supply chain. We take care about all these bad things in the supply chain. And our main competitor, obviously, is the non-branded cheap accessory. What I think is the majority of the market. It comes in packs of 2 or 3. You can find them on Amazon or Alibaba or Temu or all those platforms. And you can buy for a fraction of the price of a PanzerGlass 3 screen protectors.
Wow.
Are they real glass? Not very often.
Yeah.
Are they made sustainably? I don't know. Who made them? What about the working conditions? Is child labor involved? We don't know that. So, and this is especially in the field of screen protectors a big issue. But I would say it's a big issue all over the mobile accessory. That there's a lot of products out there which are not sustainable at all.
Because of course, I personally also try different kind of qualities for accessories, right? So that's why I really understand what you are talking about. Because when I purchase probably some very cheap accessories, but the quality, you use 1 week or 1 month and it's done. But when you are paying like a specific price for good quality accessories, and actually you can use for long, like 1 year like that.
At least.
So actually the overall cost is just similar. So I don't know why people...
I also don't get it, David.
Yeah.
I have to say, I just don't get it. If you have an iPhone with a price tag of $1,000, euro, pound, sterling and above,
exactly.
Why do you use this cheap accessory for 2-3 euro? It is like, driving a Mercedes. And you put bike tires on your Mercedes or cheap seats or I don't know. Why? In the car industry, this is much more common in the meantime. You know the impact on safety, you know the impact on your kind of prestige and your image. When you drive the Mercedes, but you cannot afford the right accessory for your Mercedes, then everybody's like, come on. It's like this impress your friends story, right? Express yourself and impress your friends. But this has not yet so much landed in the mobile industry. But there's ambassadors. And one big ambassador, of course, is Apple themselves. If you look the sales figures of Apple original accessory on the website, there must be people out there who are ready to pay like 79 euro for a case, or they pay like 49 euro for a screen protector. So no problem. And when is that? It's the momentum when you buy a new phone. And what we do here in this refurbished environment is we find the right price point, which is €19.90 for the Safe by PanzerGlass made for refurbished product. Because this is the right price when you buy a refurbished phone.
Exactly.
And the right price for a case is the same. It's also $19.90. And when we bundle it, it's $34.90. And this is basically realized all over our partners. This pricing, and it works very well.
So probably I would say that this business or this industry, we need more education of how to use the accessory properly. Because I mean, for the cheaper price you can get it cheaper, but you just use it for just a short period of time. And actually the protection level is not good at all. I tried that. So nowadays, that's why I totally agree with you. I only want brand accessories because this is the guarantee. So Christian, thank you so much for all of your sharings. Now I learn a lot about the accessory industry. Like for me, I have been into this business for 10 years. Of course, I mean, I'm still the beginner. What advice would you like to give younger people like me in this industry?
I would say stay curious.
Stay curious.
And don't miss the AI train.
AI train?
The train,
AI train.
If you miss the train at the station, it will leave without you. And my feeling is that AI is something which is bigger than the internet. Of course, internet is the enabler for AI, that's clear. But AI, and I'm an old guy, but I'm using AI on a daily basis in the meantime. Not only ChatGPT, but also those more exotic things like Claude and the agents and stuff like that. Of course, it comes big times from my son, whose job it is to work within the field of AI for a bank. That would be my advice. Stay curious, be human, and don't miss the AI trend.
Thank you so much, Christian. Let's stay curious and don't miss the AI train. Thank you, Christian, for your time for this podcast.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure, David. Thank you very much.